Hi, X-Ray Vision here. I'm somewhere in the eastern half of the United States. I've come to the place where Rags to Riches lives. Thirsty, thirsty Rags to Riches. Rags, explain to us where the name Rags to Riches came from.
I went to a slogan generator on Google. I searched for slogan generator, and I put in some words that were important to me, and it popped out. Rags to Riches, although it thought I was searching to be like a popular rapper for some reason. Like Rags to Riches is synonymous with that type of thing. But yeah, Rags to Riches, it kind of chalked me up pretty well, I felt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you grew up middle class?
I would say that I grew up middle class at some point, and then not middle class at some points, lower than middle class, I would say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what got you to get onto YouTube and talk to people?
I was upset that I was spending so much time answering people in that Telegram chat. So I had a Telegram chat, and I was trying to teach people how not to do stupid things with their cryptocurrency. And it kept growing and growing and growing. So I created a YouTube channel to answer the questions that I hear all the time. So when everybody would ask me a question, I'd just post the YouTube link, and I would be able to answer it. So it was perfectly selfish, and it was freeing up my time.
Well, speaking of selfish, a lot of people would take that opportunity and close off the group and charge people for a private Telegram chat.
Yes.
What did you consider doing that? And if so, what made you choose to not go the route of paid subscriptions?
Good question. I did think about charging people because it seemed to be an extremely easy way to make money, and it seemed to be mutually beneficial at the time. So I had 3 admins that actually created the Rags to Riches Telegram to kind of push me into it originally. So there were 3 of us, and they were my admins, and I had a little discussion with them. I said, what should we do here? And we just kind of came up to the conclusion, like, listen, let's just grow this thing, and let's just not charge anybody, and let's just see how big we can get this thing. And it was that simple. We made the decision very early on. In fact, I think this was before Hex was even a thought in our heads that we would not charge for what we were doing. And that's that.
So it's almost like that choice was made beforehand, and you guys just came to that agreement.
Yeah. Well, I kind of threw it out there, and I said, "What should we do with this?" And the other part of this was I didn't feel like I was competent enough to charge people. These were things that I had learned on YouTube in minutes, in hours, and anybody could. And I honestly didn't feel right charging because I didn't really have much of any qualification other than learning how to control my emotions and hodl. That's it. So I just felt like it probably wasn't the proper thing to do.
Cryptocurrency is not the first thing that you've tried or done as an entrepreneur or tried to make money at. How would you compare the crypto experience to the other vehicles and ways that you've tried to make money?
Yeah, so cryptocurrency is it's a life hack. That's what I would say. Now, if you are not strong in your head and you aren't patient, you're not going to win at this game. You certainly have to put a lot more effort into quite literally everything else in the world to make money. So if you can exercise patience, you do a fraction of the work in cryptocurrency to get outsized gains. So There is nothing else like it in the world, and I have done everything possible, from selling drugs to counterfeiting money to Amazon FBA to real estate to collecting cans for pennies and just everything. I've done everything.
Mowing lawns. I did a little lawn mowing business. So cryptocurrency is easy. It actually is very easy if you don't nuke yourself. If you don't nuke your account. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what is it they think that is in most people that causes them to nuke themselves?
I think what happens is people look at a chart, and the first thing that goes through their head is, wait, all I have to do is buy low and sell high. That's it. I can make like 10% of my money, 20% of my money in a day. Oh, I can do that. And then they might get a couple good trades here and there, and then they end up nuking themselves. And then they get pissed off and they throw money back in, because now it's a competition with themselves in a way to not screw up again, and then they lose more money. And then they start coming to some realizations. They start looking and searching and listening to other people, and they think, well, maybe I should just do this hodl game. But the real issue is they don't have knowledge, and they don't understand how the markets work, and they don't understand that you don't time the market. You just don't do it. And 95% of people get wrecked trying to time the market. 95% of crypto, I would imagine at least that. Possibly more. Because the odds are stacked against you. And you just don't know it. So people get wrecked because they are impatient, and people get wrecked because they don't have knowledge, and they don't have experience or any type of hindsight.
And where do you see crypto going in the next 10 years?
Blockchain technology is going to be the single biggest technological revolution in the history of the world. And not only in finance. Abstract ideas from decentralization are going to bleed into education. They're going to bleed into energy. They're going to bleed into a myriad of industries, and they're going to absolutely revolutionize and change everything. In 100 years, if we could time travel and pop in 100 years and see what it looks like, everything's going to look completely different, in my opinion. So I think in 10 years with cryptocurrency, I think we're going to see a market cap that's at least 10, probably 20 to 30x more than it is now, potentially a lot more than that. And I think that all of the legacy assets that people use for any type of return are going to just dwindle and fade and die on the vine compared to what we have now. It's just so much better.
What do you think are the first legacy instruments to die and basically become obsolete?
Certificate of deposits. I think that we're going to see big time changes with the Federal Reserve, especially if this crash that we're in right now really unfolds to be what I think it's going to be, which is not very pretty. So CDs, bonds, all of these things, any type of savings account that yields any type of interest whatsoever, those are just going to fade away because they're so obsolete at this point. They can't keep up. The fact that we don't have middlemen is huge. So if you look at people who actually manage your money, I think that those types of things for the most part are going to go away. And I think that the people who are trying to hold on to the legacy system, especially money managers, they're going to have a really, really hard time. I think the good ones survive, but you're not going to have nearly as many as what you have now. I think that the really important people are going to be the tax advisors, the accountants, and things of that nature. So I think that there's a lot of tools and a lot of products out there that steal a lot of money from people all over the world, and I think that those types of instruments are the first to go.
Awesome. Now let's pretend that you're 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's wiped out. You're back at zero. What do you do if you're 20 right now and you've started from scratch?
In today's environment, if I was 20 years old today, I would probably try to stay in my mom's house as long as possible. I would get a job and I would dump every single penny into this bear market right now. I think that we have an incredible product with Hex. I think that surviving this bear market unscathed is going to be a huge testament to how awesome this product is going to be. It's going to open a lot of people's eyes. I think that we've got Pulse Chain and Pulse X. Those are absolutely going to fly. I think that 20 years old, putting $10,000 into one of these projects in the first 3 months, I think that that's really going to set you up for the rest of your life. Now, whether that happens in 1 year or 2 to 5 years, the whole point is the crypto market cap, all the financial energy, all the human capital, all the infrastructure that's being built, it's just it's basically looking in the future and saying this is going nowhere but up. And if the whole market's going up, that means that everything in our ecosystem is going to go up as well. So I think that that's what I would do as a 20-year-old. I would find steady work. I would work my butt off as hard as I could and just dump it in. And you have really nothing to lose at that age, because you can lose everything and start over that young.
Okay. Now, same scenario. You basically don't have anything of value to your name, and you're 40. You got kids. You're a few $100,000 in debt with your house.
Yeah.
And credit cards. What do you do? What would you do right now in this environment if you're in your 30s or 40s with kids and some debt?
That's a really interesting question, because you can go one of two routes. You can go the route of what everybody says, which is just focus on getting out of debt first and then investing. And I think that is a pretty strong play. If you do have good cash flow, you might want to look at knocking out some of your debt. However, you're in a time crunch right now, because we have this layer 1 that's launching, Pulse Chain, and we have Pulse X, and we're also going to have a wallet in the future and potentially decentralized exchange. And not only that, there's going to be a lot of other projects that pop up that you're going to have opportunities to be a Genesis plank holder, one of those first people. So the one thing that I would probably do is create a $0 budget every single month, in that I would take every dollar that's coming in and assign it somewhere. So I would assign it to all my bills, assign it to all my debt, and anything that I have left over, every single one of those dollars goes into crypto. It's going to go into probably Pulse Chain or Pulse X. That's where I would put it initially. And if I could, or if my wife could, we would get second jobs to be able to create additional cash flow to invest as much as possible, because there is just no other time. There's just not opportunities like this, layer 1 opportunities with the community that we have. So I would, if somebody really opened up to me and asked me what to do, I would go hard as heck right now, at least for the next 6 months or a year, creating some type of reserve to be able to deploy that capital when these things launch. And then I would, if they're really in dire straits, you can turn the faucet off and you can focus on paying your debt down, but you're going to have exposure to something that can do huge things for you in the future.
And then the last scenario, obviously, you're in your 70s, 60s, you don't have anything for retirement, which is pretty common right now.
Yeah.
What would you do if you were, trying to make a retirement at the last minute?
Do I have any income whatsoever?
You're on fixed income probably. At that point, you probably don't have a lot of skills or job opportunities in your late 60s and 70s.
That's really difficult. Now, here's the thing. It's obviously much broader than that, because you might have family members or whatever the case may be. But, and this is extreme advice because it's an extreme situation. What do companies do when they want to invest in something? Many times they take it out on credit. They take the money out on credit, use somebody else's money, and they purchase assets with it, or they do some sort of investments with it. If you didn't have anything, if you had a fixed income, and if you did have a little bit of money to spare, you might consider at that age, because you don't really have much to lose, you're not going to be on the earth that much longer, potentially. You might want to get some, talk to family and friends first, and try to come up with an option here. Hey, I've got this opportunity. I've heard about this. Would you be interested in investing? You can kind of pool your money together a little bit. You can sell some stuff if you have anything to sell. Otherwise, you could take out some type of, you have a home, if you own a home, you could take out a HELOC on it. You could pay, maybe put $5,000 or $5,000 in, and you could pay very low interest only payments on that for the first couple years. Especially if you're in a bear market, there's really no better time to do something as risky as that than the bottom of the market. And it's one of those things, like if it pays off, cool. If not, it's $5,000 and you're gonna die soon anyway. So you can focus on paying it off or not. But I think that $5,000, no matter really what cryptocurrency that you put it in at this point, is going to stretch a very, very long way here in the next couple years, 5 years at least. Yeah.
And because we're probably at the beginning of a recession or depression right now, if you are an entrepreneur trying to do your own hustle, your own business, what advantages and tactics would you use in a down market to take advantage of the situation?
Yeah, so that's a good question. One thing that you got to deal with is you got to deal with the fact that banks are going to be more reluctant to lend money out. But as the bear market wears on, banks are also going to be kind of more hungry for additional cash flow too. So the trade-off is you're probably going to get a higher interest rate on maybe a loan that you might start, a small loan that you want to start some sort of business. The thing that I would probably get into, I might get a loan out from a bank for maybe a couple $1,000s, maybe $2,000, $3,000 if I was really hurting for money. I would go to a website called biggerpockets.com, and I would learn how to wholesale real estate. Now, what's wholesaling real estate? It's basically when you identify distressed properties and you are able to make an offer on that property, write a contract that's assignable to another real estate investor. You can build a book of real estate investors in your area, basically a Rolodex. You get this property under contract. The way that it works is this contract can be terminated in 30 or 45 days or whatever you agree on with the homeowner. Sign the contract to purchase the property for $100,000, for example, and then you can take that contract and you can assign it to a real estate investor who's interested in that property, and you can assign it to him for $110,000. So you just made a $10,000 spread, and all you have to do is turn it into the title company. You don't have to use a realtor or anything like that. Turn it into the title company, then you get your check in the mail. And the other people come to the table and they close. Now, what's cool about that? Why are we taking out money, by the way? Why are we taking out $2,000? Because wholesaling is actually, it's really marketing. You got to find the people before they put their properties on the MLS. You got to find the people before a realtor gets a hold of them. And some people don't like realtors. Some people don't like people coming in their house all the time to show their house. And some people just want to get things done in and out quick. Cash only. They don't pay any realtor fees, whatever the case may be. So that's a service that you can offer. And that's the service. That's what I did for people when I first started in real estate. I read Robert Kiyosaki. I went to biggerpockets.com. I learned how to wholesale. Within the first 3 months, I had done my first deal for $12,500. And I actually have that check framed upstairs in my office. So that's what I would recommend. I would recommend people start understanding real estate because it's the best bang for your buck. And if you can learn how to wholesale and find deals, then you can do anything, and you can take very, very small amounts of time and turn it into very, very big amounts of money to be able to deploy anywhere.
Awesome.
Yeah?
Awesome.
Yeah?
Awesome. You've given great answers. I actually didn't think of some of those questions until you answered the first ones.
Uh-huh.
So this went a little further and deeper than I thought it would be.
You asked
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you asked some good questions, man.
And I'm wondering, like, if I was listening to this on YouTube or somewhere else, what would I want to know and where would I be at possibly? So thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
And information.
Awesome.
Rags to Riches, X-Ray Vision, Sony camera. We're out.
Goodbye.